because the stats are ridiculously good.
Oh, we are live, buddy, and the stats are ridiculous. I guess it actually really depends on from which perspective you're looking at them from. But before we jump into the stats, welcome to the REC Nation, to all of our REC insiders and the new people that have come into our community. Not only are we live on YouTube today, Simos, but we're also live on Facebook as well. So please, as always, let us know where you're watching Brunch with REC. Before I get started, I know you're itching, Simos, to talk about the stats and some headlines that have come out. But we had a very, very special birthday this past week. It was your birthday, and you know,
hey, maybe I am excited, maybe I'm not. So good morning, REC Nation.
Your 26th birthday, as everybody should know, your 26th birthday.
Yeah.
But a massive, massive happy birthday to you, brother. Lots of love from all of us. And thank you so much for still coming on and doing this, because I know you had a little bit of a late night last night, celebrating as you should have been. So welcome once again to everybody on REC. But what's going on, Simos?
Well, my man, for sure, we had a beautiful night last night, and it was late. I'm definitely tired this morning, but we do have a big day ahead from both REC perspective. Children have pianos and guitars and all the things that a Sunday brings. And thank you for making my birthday so special. I truly appreciate it. We got myself and a small group, Jas, our director of ops, and my sister, one of my best friends. We all got together and we celebrated last night in Toronto, and it was an incredible night. So I loved it.
It was a surprise too. You had no clue.
For the first time in my life. So I've never had a surprise birthday before, which is very interesting. And I saw your wife, and I was just like, but we've had that coincidence before. So so there was that split second before I realized that it's a surprise birthday. It was all in the same second. Where you're just like, really? And then I was like, really?
Big shout out to your wifey for putting it all together. But let's jump into it, my man. There's a lot that's been happening. Let's jump into it. Right? Because we're going to go right till about 11 o'clock. As you mentioned, we got a busy Sunday with some business stuff and some personal stuff.
The only thing that I really want to get to is in the last 2 weeks, we've had 17 members of our community, the REC Insider community, go into the Mississauga deal above. And I just want to say, like, there's one thing when you structure deals, there's one thing when you create deals, and when we all get together, it just makes a whole lot of sense. So I'm just very proud of all the insiders that went into deals. It feels good to see the confidence of the investor back in the market, running the numbers, interest rates high, interest rates low, but like just to see people running the numbers, doing the math, and it actually working and going into deals and going into more deals. We have a bunch of stuff coming up. It's just amazing to see. So congrats to every single insider that took action. Congrats to the entire team, because this is the first time we, specifically you, put new people in the cogs of the wheels, the way we do things. Like, we're starting to really groom people to go into new roles, and to see Luke shine the way he did was incredible. To see our strategic partners in Marlin Spring follow the process and not like say, no, you Jas and Simos, you do this, and this. They went with it and they followed the process. So big thank you to Marlin Spring, to Baker Real Estate for working with our team and putting these investors through their deals. We appreciate it.
It's definitely very gratifying, right, to see it all kind of come together. I mean, we've been doing this now for coming up to 2 decades, like it's exactly like 19 years. And to see
I did not turn 43 yesterday. I did not.
Yeah. But to see it all come together, you mentioned someone like Luke Leasing, who started off with us as an assistant and now essentially leads our new build division, obviously with our VP Laura Elto Stewart, and obviously we have Tyler, who, if you're not watching, and that's a great segue as well, if you're not watching every third Sunday of the month, you're missing out on a brunch with REC that I actually think it might even be a little bit better than ours, brother, because
Sure.
you and I just kind of banter and we talk about the stats, where what Tyler does is completely different. In fact, I don't even know if it exists in the Canadian real estate landscape, to be honest with you, because he brings on real investors that are like currently working on deals. They just finished a deal and they're documenting their story. And I'm not just saying it because it's our show that we put on, but I really think there's a lot of value when people start to realize that, like, look, we're all unique, and I get it, and you should think that you're different and you should dream big. But at the end of the day, the main reason I really enjoy that Brunch with REC real stories that Tyler does is because it just showcases once again that yes, we're unique, but at the same time, we all breathe the same air. We all put our pants on one leg at a time. And look, I tried to do it two legs at a time in the morning today, and it didn't work really well. You know what I mean? And so once you start to see that we're all kind of similar in that sense, and so if somebody else can do it, you can as well. And I can't tell you the amount of people, because now I think it's Tyler was telling me, I think he's like year 2 that he's been doing it. And now, so people are starting to message us and say, like, what got me over the edge was that episode that Sunday that you, Tyler, spoke to Mary Jane, and she's Joe Blow, and they were telling their story. I actually jumped into the next investment because of that, and so
well the thing is, it's 100% true. So it's when I say true, it's REC insiders. So it's every single person who's watching right now. It's one of you that says, hey, I want to tell my story. So whether we did a deal, whether we didn't do a deal, whether you did a deal before and you want to share it, or it doesn't matter. Like, there's no qualifier. You don't have to be like buying real estate with us. Maybe you're into stocks, maybe you're into whatever, but share your story with fellow investors. And that to me is it's gold. Those episodes are incredible. So for anybody who hasn't seen it, go to REC Canada on YouTube, take a look at them, because they're actually you, they're actually me, and it's people sharing their actual journeys and their wins and their losses and all the things in between. So
all right,
yeah,
I
actually do think they're better than our brunch. Like, we talk stats, we talk strategy, but there's something to be said about sharing real, I just invested, this is what happened to me, come with me and win, or don't go there because you're going to lose because I just lost, kind of thing. So
everybody who's watching live on YouTube, Facebook, and the recording, if you would like these stats that just, came out exactly on Friday, so 2 days ago, all you got to do is send us a quick email, which is info@reccanada.com. Put the subject line, current market stats, and someone on our team will make sure that we get them over to you. And so why don't we just jump in right at the highest level in terms of areas and talk about kind of GTA, and then if we want, we'll dive into the Bramptons, the Durhams, and the York regions, and so on and so forth. But I mean, for me, the stat that we always speak about is months of inventory. It gives us an idea what market are we currently in. So depending on how many sales happened the previous month, how long would it take for all the inventory to be sold? And so right now we're sitting at less than a month and a half. Right now in the Greater Toronto area, we're sitting at less than a month and a half. And why is that important? And so I want to throw something at you, and then we can kind of go back and forth, Simos. I had a message from somebody on my socials because I spoke about the fact that, look, the GTA market's starting to heat up. I know I'm a real estate broker, but anybody who knows us, like, we're not into like pushing people to buy or into invest. We're trying to do our best to come with the black and white numbers, like just true facts. And I mentioned that the market's starting to heat up. In my opinion, it's more based on the fact that there was a pause two pauses to be exact on interest rates. And so you mentioned it a little bit earlier in the brunch that really speaks to consumer confidence, right? Because if you can start to imagine, if you're watching right now, what kind of conversations start to happen at home when interest rates rise, when interest rates go down, or when there's, when it's status quo. And it goes something like this. It's like, honey, well, the interest rates are rising. And so our cost of borrowing, our monthly payment, our monthly obligations on top of the mortgage payment, the condo fees, the property tax, so on and so forth, that's going to increase. So we can't make a move. And then when there's a decrease, it goes the other way. Well, look, I mean, we're going to be able to afford a little bigger home right now, whatever it may be. And then with these two pauses that happen after 8 increases, we've never seen this in the history of the country. I don't know. I'm not even sure if it's even happened in the States, but in Canada, we've never seen 8 increases happen simultaneously and the amount of those increases. And so when there was 2 pauses, that consumer confidence, which you can't really see on a piece of paper, it's more of a touch and a feel of what's happening out there, like in terms of boots to the ground. That's when you start to see people going back out, because why? They got used to the rates. Like anybody, I think north of 40 is like 5% interest rates. That's kind of normal. Yeah, we obviously
and that's
the
just
2.5s and the 3s. Go.
Yeah. No, and that's just it, Jas. So, to fix what you said, never has it happened before in the history of the globe that we've seen, not simultaneously, but consecutive seven increases in interest rates. So people were running numbers being conservative at 3 and 4 and 5. Well, turns out that you can't be conservative enough. And if that's not a lesson in real estate investing, I don't know what is. You want to say that this could never happen? Think again, because it can happen. So I think the lessons learned, I think the current environment speaks to we as investors need to pay attention, to run your numbers and do your due diligence like you never have before. But on the same token, the fundamentals of our country's real estate, our province's real estate, our cities in like actual circumstances, real estate will always be micro. You can follow it from macro, like you can go up high level, but when you're investing, it doesn't matter. It's the neighborhood. It's right down to the neighborhood. And right now, we happen to sit in the GTA. The GTA is going to be home to 50% of whatever number you saw on television of all those new people. The GTA is 25% of this country's economic engine. The GTA stands to benefit for 20 years to come, as there is a housing crisis that has not been solved. And those fundamentals right there is what caused that in an environment where we saw 7 consecutive increases in interest rates, the minute they never came down, but the minute that there wasn't an increase, you see everybody coming back and saying, okay, we can breathe. Let's get our real estate. Let's get on with our lives. It's crazy to see. Go ahead.
And then I think the perfect storm, so to speak, for anybody who's maybe a home buyer, what happened at that same time is that there wasn't and there isn't really that many homes, condos on the market. Like the amount of inventory that actually exists for a city as big as, and when we talk about the GTA, I mean, what are we at? Like 6.6 million people and growing, as you mentioned. Once you only have less than a month and a half of inventory, like for a city of 6.6 million, it's crazy.
It's weird.
To not understand, in all honesty. I think I want to go there, like not to understand the fact that that's why values are increasing. We're going to see the blips. You're going to see some drops, but you look at now when you hear in the headlines that values are down, they're comparing it to the highest market in history, which is really ever is February 2022. And so the analogy,
that's actually the record in this country.
Yeah. Yeah,
No.
and I always use the analogy that that's like going 200 kilometers on the 407, and that's February 2022, and now we're probably doing like 130. That's still fast, right? I mean, that's why we've seen an increase once you look month over month. So April's numbers, actual April numbers, even though we're in May, when you compare that to March, you've seen an increase of about 6.5 to 7%. Just month over month. And that is because of interest rates not increasing, not enough inventory. And these are not investors. Yeah, there might be like 40, 50%, but like these are just regular people who need a home. They need a home because their family's growing. They need a home because they're downsizing. They need a home. I mean, I actually am trying to find the numbers when it comes to how many people in October, November of 2020. So I'm going back to 2020 now, COVID lockdown time, where they left the urban city of like left downtown Toronto. They didn't want to touch the elevator buttons, and I'm not really making a joke of it, but that's exactly what people were saying and feeling. They went out to say, okay, I can work from anywhere, and now they're starting to come back as well because like shit, I'm starting to drive. I'm starting to drive and realize like I got to get back into the office. Not many are like 3 days a week offices now. They're closer to 4 or like it's 5. It's mandatory that you get back. Now this hour and a half drive into work is not as much fun as I thought it might be, or I'm not okay with it where originally I thought I might be.
Jas, there's so many components to this, like for real. There's so many components to it, and all I want to get through on this brunch with REC, because it's a shorter version today and we have 15 minutes left, which is plenty to get our message across. The whole point of the exercise is this. Anybody trying to time the market will always lose. You try to play games in the market, you try to flip this and buy that. We have at least a half a dozen people in our circle right now who bought at the absolute height of prices that are trying to find ways to make their investment win. And the common denominator across all those people, and these are real people, once again, these are REC insiders. These are people who were introduced to us or referred to us to try to help them in all the things. And don't anybody think you're smarter than someone else or, oh, you're better than anyone else, because you're not. Everybody tries to win. Okay? Some people got mixed up at the end of the cycle. They got too excited, all the things. At the end of the day, whether you got caught at the top of the cycle or you made $250,000 in the last year, nobody's better than anyone. This market will allow even the people who made mistakes to survive, but they have to hold on. They have to simply be patient and understand they didn't buy penny stocks. They bought real estate in the GTA. Good news for you, even if you made a mistake, that time can fix it, and it's already fixing it.
Real estate is very forgiving in that sense compared
here,
to
not everywhere, but
I'm saying.
here.
100%. And even compared at large with other investments. And I always mention that, look, I mean, yeah, we're real estate guys and we are obviously a little bit biased in terms of talking to people about this investment, but that doesn't mean that we don't like the stocks and the mutual funds and investing into businesses and all that kind of stuff. But with real estate, as long as you hold on for the long haul, which actually brings me really quickly to another article that just came out in the Globe and Mail yesterday, and it speaks about the headline. Give me a sec here. Investors having condo regrets and millennials furious about the market. So two different kind of headlines built into one, but I want to touch on that first one because you brought it up. So investors having condo regrets. I personally believe the guys and gals that invested into pre-construction condos, if they went into the investment to do an assignment, I hate to say it, that's why you probably are having a regret, because like you bought with the only intention of flipping it. Like
that's speculation.
100%. Like you're completely trying to play is what's going to be better, black or red in Niagara, right? And so what I would highly recommend, that if you're getting into a pre-construction condo, do not do this. Do not invest. In fact, we don't even let people invest into a pre-construction condo if they tell us that what they're trying to do is do an assignment, because we don't want you to lose your shirt and then you have a bad taste in your mouth when it comes to this type of investment.
And it's not even lose your shirt. So the problem with assignments now is there was a time between, let's call it 2010 and 2016, 2017, where it was the Wild West. It was unregulated. The government of Canada had not figured out what was happening in Toronto and Vancouver. And let me just shine a light on what was happening in Toronto and Vancouver. Jas and Simeon would buy condos for $299,000. 2 years later, would sell them for $499,000, and the money would come through. Nobody was looking at income tax versus capital gain, and it was all filed as a capital gain with a CRA, and Bob was your uncle. Nobody was doing anything wrong. The government sees a flurry of hundreds of millions of dollars and says, whoa, 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 whoa. How big actually is this problem? They're like, oh, government, we don't know because nobody's reporting it. Oh, so in 2017, at the exact same time as the Ontario Fair Housing Plan, in April of 2017, they also passed another little law forcing lawyers. So if you're a lawyer in this country and you do a real estate deal with an assignment, you have to report that to the CRA. And all of a sudden, the government of Canada saw that there was tens of thousands of assignments happening on the sidelines, which in turn has led to the laws changing in the last 2 years, where if you do a little assignment, you're going to be a builder like Tribute Homes, like Tridel, like anyone else. You're going to pay HST on your upside, and you're going to pay income tax, not on capital gains. You're going to pay working income tax on your gains, because that's what you were doing all along. You were acting like a developer. You were acting like a builder. You basically partnered with your developer and sold into the market, so you're getting taxed on it. With that said, to bring this all to a conclusion, is the government and the entire system knows what's happening in the market. They're not dumb. And you are not going to have a free license as an investor to take somebody else's building, sell it as your own, and not pay tax on it. So if they're taking your taxes, there's no point in doing it as the whole exercise, because now you're with a margin of a business. So
now if you're somebody who actually didn't want to do the assignment, but because of financial hardship, you are not able to close on a project, so a quick strategy or something that I want you to start to think about is bringing in a joint venture partner. We've had a lot of success doing joint venture deals at large, and not necessarily just through an for an assignment purpose, or in the situation where you might need to assign. But we've also had and seen and helped a lot of people that are in the situation like, okay, I wanted to close 3 years ago. My situation was different. I'm not able to close, and now I'm going to have to do an assignment. That's not your, that should be your last resort.
Yeah, and that's an exit strategy. Exactly. It's an exit. Like if when something unforeseen happens and you need to go, of course you need to do the assignment. No problem.
Well, I'm saying before you do that assignment, though, start to reach out to your friends, your family, other investors in investment groups. Hence why we scream it from the rooftops. Like, if you're not part of investment groups and you're thinking about investing, you're missing the boat. Like that would, to me, and this is a new one, it just came to me, that would be like if you want to become a doctor, lawyer, engineer, and you're like, I don't want to go to school for it. Like, it makes no sense. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no real school for learning how to invest into real estate, like a formal type of school. No. The way that you should be doing it. Yes, these brunches are great. Us talking, podcasts, YouTubes, all that stuff is fantastic. I actually think the best way to do it, though, other than actually just investing and learning, is being part of these investment groups. Because right away, if you're somebody who can't close on something, there's other investors that might want to be part of a deal. Now, that's right. You might have to, you will have to leave money on the table, which is okay, and there's nothing wrong with it. But last time I checked, 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. In fact, I would even take 30% of something over 100% of nothing, right? And
Bro, you're on fire right now. You're on fire right now.
I knew you had a rough night, and so I had to
You're on
pull up
fire right now.
Yeah,
because 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing. Now,
look, I didn't go to university after high school or anything, but at least I know some basic math like that.
Listen, we all know you did not go to university. Listen, let me remind.
I'm still enough.
You are enough. You are enough for me. Let me remind everyone something. We were talking about assignments. As a matter of fact, the government and all the processes took the juice out of assignments as a business strategy, and I'm happy they did. But what they didn't do, if anyone out there went through life, meaning divorce, death, illness, work, etc., if you have had a substantial change in your life and you have to assign your unit, you will not be charged the income tax on it. You have to fill out what's called a disclosure, an affidavit. You actually have to do a signed affidavit saying that, I went through life, whatever my circumstances are, and this is why I'm doing this. And the government will review it, and they do approve life as a capital gain. So if you're not a profiteer, meaning an investor looking to do this consistently, and you just went through life, you bought this condo and something happened and you need to get rid of it, you will not be charged income tax carte blanche. You will go to capital gains if you so disclose it, but there has to be a real reason for it. So when we tell you guys that this is an exit strategy for an unseen circumstance, that still stands true. So you can exit if you have to, but to what Jas was saying, for all these investments at this time, do not speculate in real estate now and not never. Run your numbers. Let us run your numbers with you, and whatever the case may be, but make conscious, good decisions.
I can't even add anything. I mean, that was the best way to end this, brother. For everyone, have yourself an amazing rest of the weekend. Please reach out if you need whatever. Like, generally speaking, the best place to start with us, if you're new to our world, is by sending a quick email to info@reccanada.com. That's info@reccanada.com, and starting off with what's called a real estate action plan. That's where we get a better idea of what you're trying to accomplish. We'll show you if we might be able to help. I emphasize the word might, because we just can't help everyone. If it's a match, we'll move to the next step. Other than that, Simos, get some rest. I know how busy you are during the rest of the week. I got to jump over to a couple of more talks, and I will see you in the next couple of days. Everyone else, have an amazing Sunday.
A big shout out to our REC Nation. Enjoy your Sunday, everyone. Have a great one. We'll see you soon. Bye.